Hello, everybody. Welcome to the I Am IT Geek YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dan. As ever, I am the IT Geek. Welcome back to another episode within my Microsoft Cloud VDI series. We are still on the DevBox topic. I think I mentioned in the early episodes. I've got about 7 or 8, maybe even up to 10 videos. I'm trying to do short videos, bit of theory, and then go into configuring the DevBox and going through each part, explaining what it is. I feel that way I can cover things in a more deeper level. Because again, there's so much to cover. I want to make sure I do it justice, and I found the smaller content videos seem to be more popular than sort of longer videos. So try and keep it short and sweet. We are going to be looking at so we've kind of looked at the architecture of DevBox already. Now we're going to actually look at more key concepts. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. So this is my Microsoft VDI series, as I've mentioned. So we're going to start looking at the key concepts of Microsoft DevBox. This is part one. There's a couple of parts to it. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about Dev Center, a bit about what it is, talk about the catalogs, and then we kind of covered catalogs in the demo last episode, so I'll explain what they are in more detail, then talk about the project, and then we're going to go back into the demo portal. We're actually going to create a DevBox definitions. Again, we'll probably cover those in, next episode potentially. So let's crack on. Okay, so how does Microsoft DevBox actually work? So this is a diagrammatic representation of sort of the connectivity and how it actually works. So we've got the virtual network is where obviously it's all hosted, and that network connection has two connects both to the Dev Center and it connects to the DevBox pool. And under the Dev Center, we have the projects and definitions. So this is kind of the hierarchy. The definitions, as we're going to see, have the different VM SKUs, as well as the sort of manage the image definition and obviously the compute gallery. But then underneath the projects, that's where the DevBox pool and the DevBox is stored, and the DevBox user actually connects into that DevBox. Rather than having to connect into the developer will connect into the DevBox. So keep this diagram in mind because this is what we're going to kind of be using to talk about. So we're going to start off by talking about Dev Center specifically. So Dev Center is essentially a collection of projects that require similar settings. And Dev Centers enable platform engineers to manage the images and the VM SKUs available to the projects by using DevBox definitions, which we're going to be looking at the end of this demo, at the end of this episode in the demo. And they also allow them to configure the networks that the development teams consume by using network connections, and we've already covered network connections in an earlier demo as well. Then we move on to catalogs. So the DevBox Quick Start catalog, which you saw in the last episode, this contains tasks and scripts that you can configure to from your DevBox during the final stages of the creation process. And again, we'll be covering that in a demo later on. Microsoft provides a Quick Start catalog, which we saw, and that consists of a set of example tasks. And you can then attach the Quick Start catalog to Dev Center to make these tasks available to all sort of projects associated with the Dev Center, and then you can modify the sample task to suit your needs. You can also create your own catalogs as well as we did, and you can put different tasks in them as well. Let's talk a little bit about projects now. So in a dev box, a project represents a team or a business function within your organization. Each project is a collection of pools, and each pool represents a region or a workload. When you associate a project with the Dev Center, all the settings of all the Dev Center level are applied to that project automatically. Each project can be associated with only one Dev Center. It's important to note. Dev managers can then configure the dev boxes available for a project by specifying the dev box definitions that are appropriate for their workloads. And to enable developers to create their own dev boxes, you must provide access to the project for the developers by assigning the DevBox user role. We are going to cover identity in a future episode. You can configure projects for deployment environments as well, and projects for DevBox resources in the same Dev Center. Okay, so these are the first few concepts that we've covered. Again, we're going to refer back to the image and the diagram that I showed you in the first slide. So we've covered the sort of that first couple of steps, the first sort of hierarchy there with the Dev Center and the projects, as well as the definitions. In today's demo, we're going to jump into the demo now. We're going to go and create a DevBox definition. So please join me in the demo. We're back in the demo, back in my IMIT Geek demo portal. We're actually going to go back down to DevBox configuration, and we've got our DevBox definitions here. We've obviously not created any. It tells you straight away here, DevBox definitions provide the configuration details for the DevBoxes that are created within a DevBox pool. So we're going to click on Create DevBox Definition here. So let's give this a name, IT Geek hyphen dev def hyphen 01. Just try to give it a name that makes sense. So here's where we can actually select our image. Now, if we've got our own image, we can see all images here, right? So just go back one step. Here we can either select some of the Visual Studio ones. We've got gallery images. However, if we can go to see all images. So these are all the images that we've got available to us. This will include your own images as well. And then this very much depends on what requirement you have and what your dev boxes need on them. So again, we can see from a version perspective as well. You can either put an older version or the latest version. Again, the first time you deploy this, you're probably going to want the latest versions of everything. So again, we can put I'm try and expand these a little bit. Here you can see we've got in this image we've got Visual Studio 2022 Enterprise and a Windows 11 Enterprise plus M365 apps. So that covers a lot of apps. More than likely they're going to want Visual Studio depending on what they're developing. And again, you can have it without Visual Studio as well. For the purpose of a demo, I'm just going to pick. I'm just going to go with. Let's see, what should I do? Let's go with Windows 11 with M365 apps and Hibernation supported as well. And then again, do we want the latest image or do we want an older image or the first image? Now, from a compute perspective, these are the three SKUs that are available. You've got the 8 vCPU, 32 gigabit RAM, 16 CPU, 64-bit RAM, or you've got 32-bit. And again, it tells you what VM, when you deploy this, it'll tell you what VM size it is. I think it's the I family though, I think, or the L family. I'll have to double check what that is. From a storage perspective, again, on your definition, you can either have 256. They're all SSDs, but it depends on, you can go, it goes up in 256, so or doubles basically each time. So you've got 512, a terabyte, or you've got 2 terabytes or 256. So again, for the purpose of the demo, I'm just going to do that. So again, DevBox Hibernation is only supported on specific DevBox configurations. Again, depends on what definition you use. So you can enable that, and then auto stop schedules will continue to shut down DevBoxes in the associated pools. And to configure auto stop schedules or hibernation, you can sign up to the private preview as well. So let's click on Create. So that'll create that DevBox definition. You can create multiple definitions and associate them with your different pools as well. So you're never going to have just one image, right? You're never going to have one DevBox definition. And then you can create your own image with more applications on if you wanted. Again, I'm not going to cover that. If you've done VDI before, if you've done AVD, you know how to create your images. And if it's in your, if you add it to your image library, you should be able to add it to your definitions. So just wanted to cover there how to that's status no errors found, which is really good. So that's how we had a DevBox definition. In the next demo, again, I'm trying to go step by step. We're actually going to create our project, so we're getting closer to deploying that DevBox. So hopefully that'll be some more fun. As I said, we're on the we're talking about key concepts at the moment, so we're gonna continue that in the next episode. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the series. Again, I'm really overwhelmed by the amount of growth my channel is having. I have some swag on order. We're going to do a bit of a giveaway to celebrate my 20k subscribers. So thank you everybody for your support. But that's not where we're finishing. We're going to keep on trying to grow it. Who knows? I'm dreaming about 100k at some point. I really don't know when if I'll ever do that. I mean, the rate has grown. Why not? Who's to say why we can't do that? So thank you for joining me. Some useful links in the description. Using my socials. Please do connect with me or follow me, and also where a link to where all the sort of Microsoft Learn content is. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, goodbye. 3, 2, 1. Hello everybody, welcome to the I Am IT Geek YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dan, as ever, I am the IT Geek. Welcome back to another episode within my Microsoft Cloud VDI series. We are deep into DevBox at the moment. I wanted to start off the series with one of the newer solutions when it comes to cloud VDI from Microsoft. And DevBox has been been getting a lot of traction, really a lot of development, and I've used it in a couple of real life use cases as well within my job. So I thought, it'd be a good time to talk about it. Getting a lot of integration as well with other products. We'll look at some of that, try and do some of that extra sort of. Might do some bonus videos towards the end of the series, not the DevBox element, but the whole series. Talk about sort of Microsoft Cloud VDI integrations with other third-party tools like Nerdio comes to mind, or Control Up and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get started with this episode. So this is my Microsoft Microsoft VDI series, but I'm focusing on cloud really. And this is part 2 of the key concepts of Microsoft DevBox. We're going to cover DevBox definitions. We'll talk about network connections. We're also going to talk about Azure regions for DevBox as well. And we'll jump back into a demo. And as I think I mentioned in the last episode, we're going to actually create the DevBox pools today. So just a reminder of that. This is the sort of okay. Start again. 3, 2, 1. Hello everybody, welcome to the I Am IT YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dan. As ever, I am the IT Geek. Welcome back to an episode in my Microsoft Cloud VDI series, where we've started deep into DevBox now. I decided to do DevBox the first sort of solution to talk about because it's probably the newer of the 3 services and solutions I'm covering. Obviously covering DevBox, Windows 365 and AVD. So I thought it'd be prevalent to probably cover this first. It's got a lot of development over the last 6 months. And I've used it recently in my work. I've used it deploying it to a few clients actually. So I really think it's a great solution. So hopefully you're enjoying it. So without further ado, let's get started with this episode. So as I mentioned, this is my Microsoft VDI, Microsoft Cloud VDI really, but it's a VDI series, virtual desktop infrastructure. So this is going to be part 2 of the key concepts for Microsoft DevBox. So we're going to cover DevBox definitions, network connections, and Azure regions for DevBox as well. In the demo, we're actually going to configure the DevBox pools, so that should be interesting. So you might remember this image or this diagram, should I say, from the last, and I want to kind of focus on how, and what we're trying to explain in this key concepts is how Microsoft DevBox works, right? So we've talked about Dev Center, we've talked about projects, we've talked about definitions in the last episode. So what we're covering now in today is going to be those, sorry, we didn't cover definitions, we covered Dev Center and projects, and I believe we covered, what else did we cover? I think catalogues potentially. Anyway, we're going to be talking about definitions, network connections. You can see on the outside there. Then we'll talk about the sort of regions as well in today's episode. So let's talk about DevBox definitions first. So a DevBox definition specifies a source image and size, including compute size and storage size. And we saw that in the last demo where I created a definition. You saw that. We had to select we had 3 options for the size, and the image type as well. You select a source image from the Azure Marketplace or a custom image from your own Azure Compute Gallery instance. And DevBox supports client editions of Windows 10 and Windows 11, as we saw. And you can use DevBox definitions across multiple projects in your Dev Center as well. And we've covered that in the demo as well already. Let's talk about network connections now. Quite an important element, I suppose. Key concept as well. IT administrators and platform engineers configure the network they use for DevBox creation in accordance with their organizational policies. Network connections store configuration information like the Active Directory join type and the virtual network and the DevBox, and that DevBox uses to connect to your network resources. When you're creating a network connection, we did that in a previous demo already, you must choose the Active Directory join type. You can do obviously if your DevBox needs to connect exclusively to cloud-based resources, then use the native Entra ID. If your DevBox needs to connect to on-premises resources and cloud-based resources as well, so best of both worlds, you use the hybrid Microsoft Entra ID join. Okay, no different from AVD, right? No different at all. So let's talk a little bit about Azure regions for the DevBox as well. So before setting up DevBox, you need to choose the best region for your organization. Very much depends on where you are geographically. You might be multi-region company, you might be multi-geographic, so where you're going to keep them. Dev centers and projects typically exist in the same region as the sort of main office or IT management center. Now, if you're going by, if you've set up your Azure tenancy using sort of CAF and Cloud Option Framework and well-architected framework, you will have a management sort of subscription, or like a landing zone, let's call it, right? It's a landing zone. That's probably the best place to put your dev center on your projects typically, because that's where your management happens. But then DevBox pools can be in a different region. It can be in different regions, and depending on the network connection they use. So developers should create DevBoxes from a pool, close to them for least latency. So you could have, like I say, you'd obviously need to have a single dev center, but you can have multiple projects. But then you could have different dev pools connected to those projects in different regions, essentially. The region of the virtual network specified in the network connection determines the region of a DevBox. You can create multiple network connections based on the regions where you support developers. And you can then use those connections when you're creating DevBox pools to ensure that DevBox users create DevBoxes in the region closest to them. And using a region close to the DevBox user is going to provide the best experience. So there we've covered three really key concepts. Some of them we've already covered in the demo, some we're going to cover in the next in future demos. So today we're actually going to, like I said, we're going to cover specifically creating projects. So without further ado, please join me in the demo. Three, two, one. Welcome back. We are in my I Am IT Geek demo portal here, and we actually want to create the project. So we're actually going to go down to, I'm going to go to manage, where we have our projects. So we're going to create our first project here. This is where you can have multiple projects. Again, it's got to be in the same location as your dev center. So let's go to create. And again, put it in the same. We're going to put it in the DevBox RG, which is where everything else is. I'm going to select our dev center. Now let's give it a name. So I'm going to call it IT Geek project 01. Okay, and then description. I'm not going to put a description. You can if you want, but I'm not going to for the purpose of the demo. So here we've got some limits we can put in. So you can limit. It's going to allow you to restrict how many dev boxes each developer can create. This is all going to be dependent on your use case, right? If you've got developers working on multiple projects, and work streams, then you are going to need to you're going to have to potentially leave it at yes, or put it yes. Sorry, you have to potentially leave it at no, but put yes and maybe limit them to say, okay, you know what, 5 dev boxes per user. And after that, they're going to need a business case to say, well, why do we need more, right? I'm going to be a Scrooge and say no more than 1 dev box per developer. But again, it all depends on your use case, right? Here we have catalog. So do you want to include deployment environment definitions? Yes or no? So if this project is in Dev Center, it's going to allow project level catalogs. So catalogs attached to a dev project. These permissions determine which catalog items are important. So we do want to leave out selected. We do want to include. We do want to use. No, do you want to use deployment environments? Yes or no? So we'll leave it tick because it's a default one. Tags, enter any tags and review and create. Right. So you can just click on create. Once that is created, we're going to go back and sort of check and show you what we can do with the projects, and we can maybe do that in the next demo. So let's just let this finish, and then we'll come back shortly. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that deployment took around about 2 minutes, not too bad. But I want to go back into my dev center. I want to go to projects here. So here we have our project. We can actually select it here. And this is where we're going to be able to allow catalogs, so set the catalog permissions, set up project access, manage DevBox pools, and add environment types. So this is what we're going to do in some of the demo coming up. And we can then look at settings and add identity for if we want to integrate with other services, look at our limits, look at our environment types, and we can manage our DevBox pools. So got more to look forward to in the upcoming demos. Hopefully you've enjoyed that episode. As we've gone into a bit more detail around some of the key concepts, and we are going to continue looking at key concepts in the next video, because again there's a lot to it, a lot to DevBox, as you can see, and we're going to be covering I think DevBox pools and DevBoxes. So please do join me for that next episode. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Drop me a comment, drop me a like, and if you're not subscribed, why not? 20,000 other people are. So obviously why aren't you subscribed? So get smashing that subscribe button. Loads of useful links in the description. Follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn and stuff like that, and also a link to the Microsoft Learn content for DevBox. So thank you for joining me. Until next time, goodbye.